Hey everybody, it's Tomebinder, and in this video, I thought I would take a look at futuristic stuff in Ancient Warfare 3 and show you some interesting futuristic scripts and devices you can make if you want to create a science fiction map. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so we're going to start by making a two-way teleporter that you can have units walk through to be transported to a different area, or you can walk through and be transported. So just to construct the thing, I think we're going to get a door frame from the shooting range set. It'll be quite simple. This is actually a little reminiscent of what I made in Good of the Company. That's kind of what my inspiration is on this. That's really about all I'm going to be needing here. Something that you can place down several times without becoming much of a hassle. I think what we'll also have is a blue fire object here to indicate that this is a teleporter. So this will be very simple. You can add more complexity to it if you want, and you can in fact make this a prefab if you want to make the whole process even easier, and I will be showing you how to do that too later in this video, how to make prefabbed versions of these teleporters. I'm going to make that blue light a little bit brighter, I think, up the range, up the intensity. Okay, so now what we have to do is get the other end of the teleporter here, and this also is optional. You don't need to have a physical teleporter on the other side. If you want this to just be a one-way teleporter, you can have the unit walk in and just go over here. But I'm going to have it be two different connected ones, I think, for the purposes of this tutorial. So, anyways, let's also get that light. Have a light in that teleporter too. And there's not too much distinguishing these two areas from each other. So why don't I have like a gun safe here or something on this side, and then over on this end some apartments, just to really distinguish the two as very different. Alright, something like that is really all we're going to want. We'll even have apartments on the other side so we can't see the other teleporter to start with. Alright, I think that works pretty well. Now here's what we have to do, the most important part of all this. Simply place down some triggers. So we'll have a cuboid trigger that fills basically the area that the door frame fills. So kind of go in through there. We don't need to have it stretch out any further than that. And then when the player walks in, they'll be teleported away. So let's just, okay, it looks like it's a good size now. We'll get a a script in here. Quite simply, trigger enter, teleport, and then the units that enter the trigger will be teleported to the other trigger. The thing is though, what this is going to create, and I'll show you in a second once I link these up, this will create a infinite teleportation loop where they teleport back and forth. So there is a way to fix that. We're going to have to use a variable, a global variable, to address that, but I think that's okay. I think we can handle that. If I can get a trigger down. Yeah, okay. But yeah, teleporters are a very useful aspect of a lot of maps, especially ones that you want to have take place in the future where humans have developed their technology a little bit more. So there we go, we have a trigger in the other one, and we're basically going to do the exact same thing we did in the other teleporter. A trigger enter event, and then a teleport. We'll just teleport the unit that enters the trigger to the other one, but I think you'll probably pick up on the fact that this is going to create an infinite loop. So I'll show you what I mean by that if you are confused. Looks like we have things all set up, so I'll place down a player. First we'll have to set it. Oh, I hit play. I needed to go into the game mode settings, not hit play. But what we're going to do, I guess we can look at the world. It's not particularly pretty for an Ancient Warfare 3 world, but it's okay. It'll suit our purposes. But I'm going to set the game mode to none and put down a player just like that. Okay, let's save this as teleporter. Or just teleport, that's fine as well. And we'll hit play. And I'm pretty sure this will create an infinite loop here as we walk in. Oh, I guess it didn't. But it can create an infinite loop. So you have to walk, basically what you're trying to do is walk all the way through. So yeah, okay. So yeah, that makes things a lot easier actually. You can see we've got a two-way teleportation system. We start out over here by the gun safe, and then when we walk inside, boom, we have a town. And you can also make things a little more sophisticated by adding, visual trappings to this teleporter. You can also make things more sophisticated by adding a sound effect when the player teleports through. to make things even cooler. But that's how you would have a unit teleport in Ancient Warfare 3, by using a teleporter device. There is another way to tackle teleporting, though, which is something that I sort of addressed in my video on Ultimate Scripting Guide, the Ultimate Scripting Guide video. So I'm going to show you that now. But there's a specific quirk of that system that I was asked to outline in more detail, which was how to make a teleportation power for the player, but have it work on a cooldown. So that's what I'm going to do right now. We'll have this be a large size world, not flat desert, desert hills. Let's set the biome to desert as well. Come on, how Savannah works. All right, and then here we're going to simply set a key that will, we'll call this the teleportation power. We'll set this up so that it is tied to a certain key being pressed. Controls key, not this button. Controls key pressed. I think we'll tie it to the, just for this purpose, the T button. T for teleport. And then we need to get a raycast of the player's mouse. And this is something that's been established already in the video, but we're going to make some changes to it in this video. Max distance can be 1,000. This can go out as far as you want, and then if it hits something, then we will simply teleport the player to the position of the raycast. So we'll just reference the player here for the teleport, and for the coordinates we take it off the raycast. So this should be what we want to do. But the thing with this is that it will have no cooldown on it, which is acceptable. But I was specifically asked to show people how to do a teleportation system with a cooldown, so I'll make sure this works before getting into that. Looks like it does not. It does not work. I think it's because I set the max collision range to 1,000 or something like that. So I'll take a look in there and work on the script. This is actually not a heavily edited video. I might not cut that out, but I'm sure you don't mind it. It's a learning experience for you as just as me, I hope. But yeah, if it hits, let's put it at 100. Filthy position. Oh, right. So it teleported the player to the normal, not the position. So I think we can actually put that back up to 1,000. This should work now. That was just a matter of me linking up the script to the wrong thing. Hopefully this will work as intended. And in the unit, in the Ultimate Scripting Guide, I had to generate a future explosion at the teleporting position. But you don't have to do that. You can just have it very simply teleport the player to wherever you want to go, just like that. It can be pretty choppy, as you can see, so I would recommend actually creating future explosions to make it a little, or even a sound effect, just to make it less choppy and have there be some continuity for the player. But I guess I'll do that too. I'll add that in, as well as the cooldown system. The cooldown system's really not going to be that big of an issue. It's just going to involve a bool variable. So let's go into our global scripts here. Teleportation power, and we'll just spawn an explosion. We'll spawn an explosion at that same position where the player was. A range of, we'll say, like 5. Damage of 0. It's just for aesthetic purposes. It's not really going to be an explosion. And then we'll set the type to future. Okay. And now we have to set up this cooldown system that I've been talking about at length. To do that, we're going to start out by getting a bool variable that says activated. I guess we'll call it activated, doesn't really matter. And we'll start out by having that be set as true. And if it's true, the player will be allowed to teleport. Whenever the player is allowed to teleport, if they teleport, it will be turned off for 5 seconds. So that just creates the effect of a cooldown. So when the T key is pressed, we get activated. And if it's true, which it should be by default, if it's true, then we will set it to, well, we'll have it do the regular teleportation thing, but we'll also set activated to false for the next 5 seconds. So there'll be a 5-second cooldown essentially on the script. Delay for 5 seconds, and then we'll just set activated to true. It's a pretty fun thing to work out problems with scripting in Ancient Warfare 3. Somewhat addicting, to be honest. But that should work for our cooldown effect. And we can even have there be a quick info that tells the player how many seconds, Actually, we don't have to have it say how many seconds are left, but we can have it say that it's still on cooldown. So we'll just have it tell the player still on cooldown. All right, if it's on cooldown. So we'll see if that works now. It should only allow us to teleport every 5 seconds. We'll take a look and make sure that script works the way it's supposed to. All right, here we go. We're gonna press T, and as you can see, it generates an explosion as well. Why don't we up our sound here? We've had no sound. Yeah, cool. We'll turn it down a little bit. Fun. But you can notice the problem here is that there is no cooldown on this setup. So we'll have to take a look back at the script and make sure it works the way we want it to. So I see the problem. I just had to hook up the delay node. Silly me. That should hopefully work now. My goodness, I need to be a little more methodical with my scripting, I guess. That's the lesson to take away from this video. But hopefully you're still learning everything you need to be learning. T, and you can see it's still on cooldown for the next 5 seconds. But now, in a second here, yeah, I can teleport again. So, cool. Now we have ourselves a 5-second cooldown system. And this script with the bool variable can be adapted to any teleporting system, including the teleporting devices that I showed at the beginning of this video. And I did say I would show you how to make prefabbed versions of those. The difference with the prefab versions is that you're not going to be able to have them be two-way. Although I guess you could, it would just take some slight adapting. But now that I've showed you the cooldown system, I'm going to show you how to make a prefab version of a teleporter. This will be very simple. All you have to do is create the structure. In this case, you can make it as fancy looking as you want. You just have to set the structure and the target of the teleporter. So, door. You could even be really fancy here. Maybe I'll show you how to be really fancy and have there be multiple settings, like for where you want to be teleported to. Now that would be quite high class. It would be cool if you could do an armored door on here. Sadly though, you cannot. So we're going to follow roughly the same setup as what we just did at the beginning of this video, except we'll add a little more fanciness because this is going to be prefabbed and we won't have to remake it every time. Set ourselves a blue light, some intensity and range on it, and let's get like some status lights or something, just to kind of add to the fanciness. Just a little wall of blue lights maybe. That's really all we're going to want or need from this. We'll make them blue. And we need to have something to that's an obvious script storage. So I think for that, let's have an LED matrix. Just here at the bottom. Like a 3x3 is fine. That'll be where we store the destination script. So in here, we'll actually, you know what we have to do first is create a trigger. So when the player enters this trigger, it will always teleport them to whatever destination has been specified with the LED grid. Just going to close this up now. Exactly the way we want it. And then it should be, yeah, okay, I think we're done with that. We're going to put a script at the LED matrix now. Trigger enter, this trigger. Teleport the unit that enters it to, and then now is the point where, you know, I can't really set a destination. This will have to be changed by the player when it's manually put into the map. So I'll set the default destination for the teleporter to be just like right in front of it, but when the player enters this into their map, I'm assuming that they will change the destination script. So to make it even more obvious, I'm going to say destination for the name of the script. So that's how you do a one-way teleporter in prefab form. I'm going to call it one-way teleporter. There we go. Maybe I'll put this on the workshop as well. Maybe people could have a use for it. Might clean it up a little bit though, because look at those skewed buttons. It's okay. That's alright though. I'll show you how to manually set the destination on a one-way teleporter, and then I think we'll be done with our section on teleporters, to be honest. I've got a few more things to discuss in this video. Force fields, cloning units, and a jetpack. We'll see if that all works out. One-way teleporter. We'll also do a game mode of none here. Put down the player. And you can see, I'll show you what it looks like. By default, you'll just teleport the player slightly in front of the teleporter. So you can see, quite simple. Oh, not quite simple. It took the coordinates from the prefab editor. So anyway, it'll always teleport you to the corner of the map, by default if you use a prefabbed version of the teleporter, so you have to make sure to manually set the coordinates that you want to be teleported to, otherwise it'll be all wacky. So here's what we do. We click into that LED matrix, into the destination script, and that'll be where we set the point that we want to get teleported to. So let's run in there and do that. Heading on in. Yeah, so there we go. That's what I had intended for it to function like. Probably if I do put this up in the workshop, I'll add a little more fanciness to it, maybe creating a future explosion at the teleporting position. But yeah, working as intended, everybody. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the final thing in today's video, which is a jetpack setup for the player. So, to give the player a recognizable jetpack, I think I'm going to use a flamethrower backpack, but give it more of a futuristic kind of color scheme. Just like that. And maybe sort of a bluish color. There we go, that'll be our jetpack. It doesn't have to be too fancy. Place the player down sort of in the town center here. This is a template map made by Benedict Cucumber. So now we're going to get scripting. The idea behind this was just to teleport the player up slightly whenever they jump, or to potentially, it could also work to lower the gravity when the player jumps. I'm going to try both methods, perhaps starting with the gravity. So when a key is pressed, we'll get the key space. We'll get jumping, and if jumping, and you know what? Yeah, okay. If jumping is false, then we will set the gravity. Okay, what am I doing? We have to get jumping first of all. And if jumping is false, we set it to true. And then we just set the gravity to be a little bit lower than it normally is. We'll set it to like -3 while the player is using a jetpack. And sound effects are going to be critical here as well to get that immersion. Then we will just have there be a delay of 10 seconds where the player can jump high into the sky. And then it'll go back down. So then after 10 seconds, we'll set jumping to false. I'm not sure if that's all we have to do or if it'll be more complicated, but I'll find out in just a second here. To play. Okay, so this is the jetpack situation. I'm realizing there is one thing I forgot to do, which is have the gravity go back to normal when the variable goes back to normal. That's fine, I can do that. Call this jetpack. And then when it goes back to normal, we'll set the gravity back to normal as well. Maybe give the player an AP5 or something to shoot at some zombies. I'm scared of ferals, but I'm going to have to overcome my fear. Should be coming after me. Let's jump. And obviously, this will weaken the gravity for all units, not just you. But it works in a pinch for a jetpack. Sorry. Especially when you make things more sophisticated by adding future explosions or sound effects or something like that. I need to get back on the ground here. Okay. No, I'm actually not. I suppose it's also somewhat susceptible to bugs. Alright everybody, well, that was some information on how to create a couple of futuristic devices and systems for your Ancient Warfare 3 maps. If it's interesting to you, I want to pose some questions in the J&I Game server about why I wasn't able to do cloning or force fields in this video, and perhaps I'll do a follow-up video where I explain how to make those as well. But at the very least, I'll have shown people the teleportation system with a cooldown, which was explicitly requested. So thank you for watching, everybody. If you would like to support my content, you can always leave a like and subscribe. And if you want to get notified when I make new maps in Ancient Warfare 3, you can always follow my Steam workshop, which is linked in the description of my videos and streams. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.